Welcome back to the She Inspires podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Jade, board certified family medicine physician, wellness and weight loss specialist, owner of the Las Vegas membership medical practice, Inspire Primary Care, and I am excited about today's topic. Today, we are talking about time freedom tips. Time freedom tips. You know, there's this thing going around talking about the soft life, and we know that the world likes to glorify the grind, but I am here to really share about time freedom tips because I'm so often asked, Dr. Jade, how do you balance business, wellness, motherhood, marriage? How are you balancing multiple businesses and a nonprofit? How are you doing all these things? And a big component of that is not a secret is some of these time freedom tips. So I want to share 5 of my time freedom tips today, and I hope that it will help you all. I want you to be thinking to yourself, are you utilizing some of these? Are there any other time freedom tips that you think about or that you utilize that really free up your time so you can have more things done, have more efficiency, but also have more time to do other things and not just be working all the time? So here we go. Let's talk about some of these time freedom tips. Now, you know where I'm going to start, okay? My time freedom tip number 1 is going to sound like, how is that a time freedom tip? But let me just throw it out there. Stick with me. It is self-care. And you're like, Dr. J, you find a way to say self-care about everything. But it's true. Making self-care a lifestyle really has led to more time freedom. And let me tell you why. A big thing I am big on in my life is taking breaks. This is something I'm getting better at. All right. Taking breaks. Are you taking breaks? Setting boundaries. Are you setting boundaries? I'm setting professional boundaries, work boundaries, and lifestyle boundaries with others, just so people know where things fit, which frees up more time and leads to more joy. Vacations, all right. A minimum of a quarterly vacation is really important in my life. Having rest, literally schedule-free days. Having self-care days. I told y'all I love my spa day where I will block off my calendar and say, hey, this is a self-care day. These days I'm like, hey, this is a mental wellness day. Just literally taking a break and making self-care a mindset and a lifestyle and not having it be a grind lifestyle. So I know that might sound counterproductive. Like, why would I have all this self-care? How does that lead to time freedom? But really starting my day by prioritizing myself, prioritizing my wellness, and having that be a lifestyle has led to more time freedom. Just trust me on it. Start incorporating it even more if you're not doing it, and it will lead to more time freedom. It has for me. All right, let's jump into some of the things you guys are like, okay, I need more. I know about time freedom as far as self-care, but what else you got, Dr. Jade? Okay, let me tell you about the others, all right? So time freedom tip number 2 that has really helped me, all right, be efficient and be able to get more done is automations. Automations. Are you using automation? So I'll tell you some of mine. So people ask me, how did you open a medical practice straight from residency with very little money and no staff? The first year to a year and a half of our business, I did not have any staff. It was just me working in the practice. And people ask me, how did you do this? And automations were a big part of how I was able to do that. And it's a really affordable way to free up your time. And so ways I started was through my automations, through my appointment scheduling. So I use Calendly. All right. So all the appointments that are scheduled are automated. The reminders to my patients about their appointments are automated. I don't have to think about it. It's set it and forget it. Okay. My billing. We know that my practice, Inspire Primary Care, is a membership medical practice. So I have an electronic medical record system where when they enroll, they put their card information in and it's automated from there. Billed on the first of each month. I don't have to think about it. Our member doesn't have to think about it. It is a seamless process. My website is another automation, right? They go to inspireprimarycare.com. They click the enroll button. It takes them through the steps to enroll. Nothing else has to be done. It is automated, all right? My phone tree, when people call me, my voicemail tells them what to do. They press 1 for a button. They press 2 for a button. It directs them where they need to go and with what information they need to extract. It is automated. So I like to say that automations are awesome. I love them, and they are a really affordable way to really free up your time. So are you using automations in your business and your personal life, but especially in your business that has made things really be released when it comes to time freedom for me? All right, number three. I would say this takes a little bit more. As we go deeper in these, each level takes a little bit more of monetary investment, because I know people will make the barrier, or say that one barrier is, oh, I don't have the money to do that, or I don't have the finances yet in my business to do that. But the first one, automations, really low ticket way to get into that time freedom. Okay, so we're going to go a little bit deeper, a little more of a monetary investment here, but it's worth it, and that is outsourcing. So number 3 for time freedom is outsourcing. I am big on outsourcing. I think to myself, what is in my area of expertise? Do I want to continue doing that? Do I have the time to continue doing that? Is there a way to outsource that? And so some of the things I outsourced in my business are bookkeeping. So we wanted our books to be very crispy here at Inspire Primary Care. So outsourcing a bookkeeper, I don't want to try to figure out QuickBooks. I was like, I need it to be right. I need to just be able to submit all the things to my tax person at tax time, and for everything to be perfect. Okay. And so outsourcing a bookkeeper was very important to us. A website designer. Yes, I could have looked and figured out how to do the website myself, but I wanted it to look very professional, and I wanted it done right one time. And so that was something I decided to outsource. My media team. Now, you guys know I am all about no excuses, right? So we start with what we have. I started with my iPhone, doing all my content between patient appointments or scheduling a 30 minutes to an hour after my clinic was done for the day, and just filming a few things. That's where I started, but now we have outsourced a media team, right? Both for the practice and for the podcast. And so that is an outsourced investment that has really freed up time. In the personal realm, right, I outsource house cleaning. I love to come home to a clean house that I didn't have to clean. That is something I really love outsourcing. Laundry, folding my clothes, having them put away, that's something I outsource, right? So outsourcing really leads to more time freedom. And I'll have people say, well, that sounds pretty expensive, Dr. J, but I want you guys to read the book, Never Split the Difference. And it's really a book about negotiation, and that it's not, and we'll have a whole podcast episode on this concept of not if, but how. But it's not if you can afford it, but how can you afford it? When I was a resident out in California, I had a limited income, because we know residents don't make money, right? And I knew at that time, I'm a busy resident. I want my house cleaned by somebody. So it wasn't, I can't do that because I'm a resident. It was, okay, well, what can you do? This is our budget. Can you clean the house for that? And then they said, okay, well, we can do the house for that budget, but we just won't do the windows, and we won't do some of the other specific areas. And I said, oh, perfect. That works well. So it's not if. Things can be customized, okay? Things can be negotiated. So we don't want to make the monetary aspects an excuse, because it really makes a difference with the time freedom. All right, so outsourcing. All right, number 4 is my new favorite, which is delegation. It took me time to be able to take my hands off. And I was talking to a friend the other day, and she's a very busy professional, has multiple businesses. And I was asking her a few things like, oh, do you have somebody to do that for you? Do you delegate that to your staff? Do you delegate that to your team? And she was like, oh, no, it's really hard for me to take my hands off of things, because even when someone does it, I feel like it's not done exactly how I would do it. I felt that way when I first started delegating, but now I have learned that people can be trained. I have people that do things in my business way better than me. I have trained them on how I did it, and they found more efficient ways to do it. And delegation really is a huge time freedom hack. Huge. So it doesn't necessarily have to be staff, right? It can be your family. So for example, there are certain things I delegate to my husband, and he delegates things to me. We free each other up in that way. There are my parents. There are certain things I delegate to them. Hey, can you help me with that? We're not in this season where it's like, oh, I have to do everything. No, it's like, who can help me with that? Who else can do this? I delegate things to my children, right? They like to make my car look a hot mess. And so I told my oldest daughter, Ava, you are the manager of the back seat. It is your responsibility to keep it clean. You are the manager of your playroom. It is your responsibility to help keep it clean. And then she knows she has to do that. So delegating these other things out doesn't have to cost a lot of money, but can have such a time freedom difference for you. All right. And my fifth and final one on my time freedom tip is team. And this is something we're actively building here at Inspire Primary Care. Having a team is a game changer. This is also something I want to open our minds up to. Team doesn't have to mean incredibly expensive. And this was something I had to learn for myself. So for example, when Inspire Primary Care started getting very busy, I was like, I need some help, right? But we were at this tipping point where we were busy enough that I needed help, but not quite busy enough where we could afford someone full time in the business. So what we did was we reached out to someone who was a qualified candidate and we said, you know what, right now we have availability for our two busiest days of the week, Mondays and Fridays. Does that work for you? She was like, yes, that works great for me. So we were able to bring on a team member, have her there 2 days a week on our busiest days. It freed up so much time for me. And now we have her on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We added on a Wednesday shift. Eventually she'll be Monday through Friday, right? Or we'll bring someone else on to fill those other gaps. But you can grow with it. Like as your business grows, you can grow the team or even that specific team member. You can grow their hours over time too. You don't have to wait until you can afford someone 40 hours a week. Okay. So that's just something I like to share with people. Having my husband, Carlos, who is the COO of our business, bringing him on to do the operation side of the business, like the payroll processing, getting our employer groups, bringing in the tech and doing the spreadsheets. These are things that need to be done, but it's so helpful to have a team to help do that together, right? And if you are listening to this and you're in the Las Vegas area and you are a provider, a healthcare provider, that be a physician, a nurse practitioner, a physician's assistant, Team Inspire is going to be bringing a new provider on. And so we are growing our team. And that's going to help me because now we'll be able to serve more patients and members in our practice as a team. So this is my plug, y'all, where I am actively growing my team and going deeper in these time freedom tips. So I hope that these would have helped you today. Self-care, automations, outsourcing, delegation, and team. Those have been things that have really freed me up, made life more efficient. And the question that I get asked, how do you quote unquote do it all? I don't. I see how I can free myself up so that I can just be more present for other things and have more rest. All right. So let me know your thoughts on this. What are some time freedom things that you all do that I didn't mention? I love to hear from you. DM me at Dr. Jade MD on Instagram. I love to hear how you guys are enjoying the podcast. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. Drop a comment below. Leave a review for the podcast. Share the podcast with other busy professional women in your life. If you have a product or service-based business that other busy professional women could benefit from hearing about, reach out to our team to become a sponsor and to sponsor an episode of our podcast. And of course, join our social media family at Instagram and YouTube at Dr. Jade MD. We'll see you on the next episode of the She Inspires podcast.